There was a moment when he realized something was wrong, not dramatically, not suddenly, but quietly. Nothing had collapsed in his life. Nothing had broken. Nothing had gone wrong. And yet, he didn't feel like himself anymore. Not sad. Not angry. Not lost in chaos. Just disconnected. He moved through his days on autopilot. He spoke. He worked. He interacted. He existed. But inside, there was distance. A strange gap between who he was and who he felt like. As if his body was present, but his sense of self wasn't fully there. At first, he thought it was stress. Or exhaustion. Or burnout. But rest didn't fix it. Silence didn't fix it. Time didn't fix it. The feeling stayed, subtle, quiet, constant. The hardest part wasn't the discomfort. It was the confusion. Because nothing looked wrong from the outside. Psychologically, disconnection from the self doesn't happen through collapse, it happens through adaptation. Slowly. Quietly. Invisibly. The mind learns how to survive, how to function, how to perform, how to cope, and somewhere along the way, it stops checking how it actually feels. Life teaches people how to operate, not how to exist. So he adapted. He adjusted. He became efficient. Responsible. Stable. Predictable. But in becoming functional, something softer disappeared. Something human. Something real. He stopped noticing what he felt. He stopped listening to what he wanted. He stopped questioning what mattered. Not because he chose to, but because life rewarded numbness more than awareness. The system values productivity, stability, control, performance. Not presence. Not reflection. Not emotional depth. So the self becomes quiet. Not dead, just muted. And when the inner world goes quiet, the mind starts to feel unfamiliar. You don't recognize yourself anymore. You don't feel broken, you feel distant. Detached. Unconnected to your own emotions, reactions, and identity. That's what losing yourself actually feels like. Not chaos. Not collapse. Not crisis. Absence. A quiet emptiness where identity used to feel solid. He realized he wasn't disconnected from life, he was disconnected from himself. From his inner signals. His emotional compass. His internal voice. The part of him that once felt alive inside his own body. And the scariest part? He didn't know when it happened. There was no single moment. No clear event. No obvious cause. Just a slow drift away from his inner world, until one day, presence felt unfamiliar and numbness felt normal. This is how people lose themselves without noticing. Not through trauma. Not through breakdowns. Not through disasters. Through adaptation. Through survival. Through coping. Through functioning. Through becoming what life demands instead of who they are. And the more functional you become, the easier it is to lose contact with yourself. Because functioning doesn't require feeling. It requires performance. And performance slowly replaces presence. He didn't feel broken. He felt empty. Not in pain, in distance. Like he was watching his life instead of living it. And that's when he understood something important. You don't lose yourself all at once. You drift away from yourself slowly, until one day, you realize you're no longer home inside your own mind. At first, he tried to fix the feeling the way people fix problems. He looked for solutions. Distractions. New routines. New habits. New goals. He tried to improve himself, optimize himself, upgrade himself. But nothing brought him back. Because the problem wasn't that he needed more. The problem was that he had gone quiet inside. Disconnection from the self doesn't come from lack of achievement, it comes from lack of presence. From living externally instead of internally. From responding to life instead of relating to it. From doing what's expected instead of feeling what's real. He realized that he had learned how to function without feeling. How to move without reflecting. How to survive without listening. His attention lived outside of him, in responsibilities, expectations, routines, systems, noise. His inner world had become background. So the self didn't disappear. It went unheard. Psychologically, the mind protects itself by numbing. By detaching. By distancing from sensation and emotion. This is not weakness, it's protection. When life becomes overwhelming, the nervous system creates space by reducing feeling. That space feels like emptiness, but it's actually distance. Distance from pain. Distance from overwhelm. Distance from overload. But it also becomes distance from joy. From connection. From identity. From self-recognition. The numbness that once protected him began to isolate him. He started to notice that the moments he felt most disconnected were the moments he felt least present. When he moved fast. When he stayed busy. When he filled silence. When he avoided stillness. When he avoided himself. So instead of trying to fix the feeling, he did something different. He slowed down. Not dramatically. Not spiritually. Not performatively. Just gently. He paid attention to his body. To his breathing. To his reactions. To his emotions. To his inner responses. Not to judge them, just to notice them. Presence began to return in small ways. Not as happiness. Not as excitement. But as familiarity. As recognition. As a subtle sense of, this is me. He started listening again. Not to the world, to himself. The self doesn't return through change. It returns through awareness. You don't find yourself by becoming someone new. You find yourself by reconnecting to who you already are. Slowly, the distance softened. He didn't suddenly feel whole. He didn't suddenly feel alive. He didn't suddenly feel complete. But he felt present. And presence is the beginning of identity. If you've ever felt disconnected from yourself, it doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're lost. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means you adapted too well. You learned how to survive. How to function. How to cope. How to perform. And somewhere in that process, you stopped listening to yourself. Reconnection isn't dramatic. It's quiet. It's attention. It's stillness. It's awareness. It's presence. It's coming back home to yourself one moment at a time. If this story feels like yours, don't rush it. Don't pressure yourself to change. Don't force transformation. Just start with one thing. Pay attention. To your inner voice. To your emotions. To your reactions. To your stillness. To your presence. Because the self doesn't need to be created. It needs to be remembered. And the moment you start listening again, you're already on your way back.